there, Sandra here from Create in Spain. If you were like me, you might have seen some video from Creativation this year and been intrigued by a vacuum machine by We Are Memory Keepers. I will put a link down below if I can find one, and you can research that if you feel like buying one. Now, it's not difficult to make a vacuum machine. There's not that many things that you need. This has worked perfectly fine for me. This is just a piece of 3D printed plastic, and this is the vacuum mold I made of it. If I turn it over, you can see it from the other side. It's done a perfectly good job. I don't have any complaints about that, and I'm going to have to find something to use that for. Perhaps I'll make a fun card with it. So, how do you actually make a vacuum machine? Well, it's pretty easy. What you want is a box like this with a lot of holes in the top and a bigger hole for your hose for your vacuum cleaner. So my husband, being the nice guy he is, made this hole for me, and he drilled a load of holes in the top to a pattern that I specified. Now the box itself was pre-purchased because it was actually cheaper to buy a box than it is to buy the wood to make one. So that's what I did. It cost me €4.50. Terrible. Last of the big spenders. It is 18 centimetres square and 10 centimetres high. It was hinged and it was latched, and I took off the hinges and I took off the latch. I have glued every seam inside, every joint inside with hot glue to make sure it's airtight, and I glued it all together with a wood glue, PVA glue basically, and put something heavy on top of it to seal it and give it a really good seal. And I put some glue in the holes where the hinges were and where the latch was. But I probably need to put some more glue in there. I don't think I've got quite enough in it, but that's another story. So on the top of it, I've just put some draft excluder foam. It could be any foam, it really doesn't make much difference. And then for the second part of it, you need a frame. And your frame needs to be able to fit just about over the top of it. A good fit is good. You don't want it too big, but obviously you don't have to struggle to try and get it over the top. Something just sits round about there. It's perfect. Now this box, as I said, was 18 centimetres, and I made the hole for here 18.75. Again, I'm lucky I got my husband to cut it for me. But there again, I'm sure that if you went to a DIY shop, you could get something cut relatively easily. At the moment, our DIY shops, I don't think, are actually offering that kind of service. So that was cut on a CNC, and it's done a lovely job. So what you now need is a piece of plastic. Now I have a piece of PVC, and what you do is you cut it to the size of your frame, and you need a centimetre extra to the hole. Any less than that and it's not going to stay in the frame, and it's not going to keep the vacuum, and it's not going to work. Take my word for it. I did try it with picture frames, did not like it. You cut that to size, you put it in your frame, and there we are, like that. And you use bulldog clips in order to close it. Nice and easy. Now you could, if you were going to get really, really fancy, and I used 2 bulldog clips on each side, you could, if you're going to get really fancy, make a frame and recess tiny little powerful magnets in it. My husband didn't fancy being quite that generous with his time. Now, be aware that if you're going to use bulldog clips, you need to make sure you don't make your frame any deeper than the clip will go. These will allow for about 3 centimetres, and that is exactly what I did for that frame. It's 3 centimetres deep. So it won't quite go inside the frame, which is perfect. That's exactly the size it needs to be. So once you've done that, all clipped up, put it down on a heat-proof surface. I used my husband's DIY heating gun, and apparently you can buy them for about €20. So this is it. I mean, it's very much the heavy-duty cousin of the heat guns we use for our heat embossing powders. It's variable in temperature, So turn it up or down depending on what plastic you're using. You've got a temperature guide on here as well, and you can vary the amount of air that flows through. Warm the plastic until it's nice and soft, got a bit of droop in it, and whatever you've put on top of here to mould, you have your vacuum cleaner hose in there. You switch on your vacuum, and then you quickly put the frame with the plastic over the top of it, and it goes and it sucks all the air out, and you get your vacuum moulding, and that's it. That's it, done. Now, if you were going to make your frame out of something else, out of wood, some people do it in heating in toaster ovens or an actual oven. I'm not sure I want to put it in my actual oven, and I don't have a toaster oven, so heat gun it is. But since this is only about €20, and since it's still pretty quick to do, and I can control it better, then I don't have a problem using this. Now the other thing is, I'll just demonstrate with my lens cap here, if it hasn't actually sucked close enough, with this heat gun you can just sort of wave it over the top and it will melt it enough for it to actually suck in and get a little bit closer. And obviously you can't easily do that if you're putting it in a toaster oven or if you're putting it in your normal oven. So I think this is actually a good way of doing it. Now the one that we are memory keepers sell is a much more sophisticated looking piece of kit, but the process is pretty much identical. It's just a tidier way of doing it. I said this cost me €4.50 for a box, already had some tape, €2.50 for this picture board or whatever it is. It's the stuff that's on the back of pictures. I don't actually know what it's called. Is it picture board? I don't know. And we already had this. As far as I'm concerned, it was a cheap way of doing something that I wanted to try out. But there we are. I hope you enjoyed that. I will try and put in a little bit of video of it actually happening, and I will see you again soon. Take care now.